Dookie, where are we? Where are we? Oh, cool. Yay, yay, yay. There we are. Okay. All right, just need to mute this. Say hi as you're coming on, beautiful divine ones. I'm just getting everything set up. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Hannah. Hey, Jadine. Oh, thank you. So this one's from Maya. She gave it to me. Thank you. From being a girl that was extremely living in her masculine to being girly, it's a, yeah. Morning, Tracy. Morning, Jadine. Hey, Catherine. Just waiting for the view. Oh, here she is. Hey, Tracy. Oh, where'd she go? Where'd you go, girl?
I'm not.
Yeah, you're here. You're with us. I love that top, Maya. As you're coming on, say hi and let us know how you're feeling today. How different is the heart compared to how many days ago? 2 days ago when we first started. Let us know how your heart's feeling now after you've had some beautiful, deeper awareness into what we spoke about a couple of days ago. Let us know what is coming up for you now. One word, tell me where your heart is now. Oh, my boilet rain hearts. You both look gorgeous. I love that top Maya's got on, isn't it gorgeous? It's just, oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite ones that she has. Thank you for the compliment. It's amazing what you can do in 10 minutes. How are you, Maya?
I'm good. I'm reloading my tablet so that I can get the live stream on. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's working perfectly.
I love your
So Maya's had a very interesting 48 hours. She's had to move places to get internet, and it's been, yeah, it's been really interesting. Lucina, you're more open. Yay. Yeah, I got your email too, honey, and I will respond soon. So where's your heart sitting today compared to the other day? And how did you find the tasks? Like, I see the gorgeous Hannah has posted today. How is everything coming on for you? I want to see these posts start coming to light. So you're not getting behind, and you had an extra day, so no excuses. I never know where to look, whether it's at my phone or my thing. So what we're going to do today is the divine Maya is going to take the gorgeous lead, because I really spoke a lot the other day, didn't I? 46 minutes, 53 minutes in the end.
54. 54.
54. See what happens when you're not there hitting me? Cute as. I feel calmer and more connected and happier. That is beautiful. Hey, Karen. Okay, so what we're going to do today, I'll just give you a slight little rundown. So it's going to be day 2 of the heart. And I'm not going to go into it at all. It's all going to be the gorgeous Maya to start off with, and she's going to do that amazing piece that we spoke about on day 1, that unfortunately, due to the meanness of the technology on that day, it didn't happen. And yeah, we're just going to go from there. So you know us, we're completely flow based, and I'm going to hand it over to the gorgeous Maya. I don't know if a lot of you, pretty sure most of you know her. She's my divine business partner in friendship and in business. We work together a lot. We run expansive retreats around the world. We do workshops, we do programs, we just really, we complement each other massively, and I just love working with this woman. I'm probably the crazy one, and she's the one that keeps me grounded. She's actually a version of my husband in a female form, so she knows how to handle me, which is a big task. But she's, yeah, I just absolutely adore her. So I'm going to pass it on to her now. We may tell you our story on another live, but we've got a lot to get through today, and we're trying to keep them to 30 minutes. So I'm going to Josh, and I'm going to hand it over to the beautiful Mina.
All right. So welcome, everyone. It's really great to see everyone and to be connected today. I watched the replay, actually, so I'm all caught up. And I just want to say it was the first live was absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed watching the replay and looking at all of your comments. So let's go ahead and jump straight in. So what I want to do is give you an introduction and to give you a little bit of a context for what we're doing for this 14-day program. So we'll begin. One of the things that we try to do is not actually mention the name so much. So I may stutter as I try not to mention the name because there has been a bit of censorship out there. So just to be clear in the beginning, we are speaking about the circumstances around COVID-19. So it's the coronavirus disease that was discovered in 2010. So that's what those letters actually mean. CO is for corona, VI is for virus, D is for disease, and it was discovered. That means that a doctor or a scientist labeled it in 2019. The interesting thing about this is that we've had in the history of the existence of men, we've had pandemics that come and wipe out part of the human population. But just looking at the last 40 years, we have had Ebola, we have had the bird flu, we have had the swine flu. The swine flu killed up to more than 500,000 people. And that was actually, it was called the swine flu, but it was just another strain of flu. We had cow disease, we had SARS, we had MERS, which was similar to SARS, but in the Middle East. And we've had HIV AIDS, which since the 80s, about it's 72 million people have died from HIV AIDS. And then, of course, on a yearly basis in many countries, we are looking at dengue. And I've only mentioned viruses that have affected human populations in the thousands, not pandemics that are below the thousands, which we have many more pandemics besides that, like meningitis or many others. But I'm only mentioning the ones that have affected humans in the thousands, tens of thousands. So just to give you a context, and right now in Bali, actually, what we're really worried about is dengue. And I've had a couple of friends come down with that this year. I've had dengue before. So just to give you an idea that the human body is exposed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to viruses, to bacteria. And we have these absolutely amazing, incredible bodies that have the ability, our cells actually have the ability to detect. 98% is used to detect if there's any type of irregularity in the cell environment, and then it will go and correct that within under a minute. So there is, of course, there is an obvious biological element when as we are surrounded by viruses, and there's biological element that the way diseases spread, but there's also a physics metaphysics physical element. And so we also need to pay attention to how our hearts are responding in this situation, how our minds, how our bodies, and how our souls are responding to the situation, because we aren't just biological beings. I want to remind you that each country is dealing in this situation in different ways, but there is a mainstream way and there is a very popular way that many Western countries are dealing with this. And what's interesting is that with this pandemic, differently from the other pandemics that we've had, we have all been touched by it. We have all, whether we've been touched physically because of actually feeling the disease, or we've been touched physically because our country has responded with lockdown. We've all been touched by this psychologically. Whether we're in lockdown or not, we've all been touched by this financially. So this virus has multiple layers of effect on humanity, and that is a context that's very important to consider. The other thing is that, you know, we want to understand that we are in a space where politically, in the past 2 decades, just looking only at the past 2 decades, we have continued to be a world where there are many wars happening. We have continued to be a world where in politics many things happen where many of us are upset. I'll mention very briefly, in the US we had an election where the world was traumatized. Many people are very concerned at what happens in US politics, and it was a shock and surprise to have a new person elected. And that shock and surprise really reverberated throughout the US, and it reverberated throughout many countries in the world. We had a similar political event happen with Brexit as well. It was another shock to not only many people in the UK, but it was for many around the world. Now, when we have these shocks, whether it's another war in the Middle East or a regime change in a country in South America or in Africa, whether it is an election that we're not expecting, or whether it is an economy that moves that we're not expecting, there is a human shock, there is a human reaction that reverberates around the world. And depending on our locality, our time section to where we are in connection with this event, different us, we stop. There's this moment of emotional change, emotional release, whether it's shock, whether it's worry or fear or concern, whether there is anger or frustration or conditional response. Whether we process that response is another issue. Whether or not we process that response and move directly into an instinctual response, another issue. And what often we are seeing is in these instinctual responses or no emotional processing whatsoever is a state of denial. And so what is happening over and over again, we're just looking at the context of the situation, is that just looking at the last 2 decades, we have had many times over political, environmental, and also health-wise, with the rise of cancer, heart disease, stress deaths, mortality rates, pollution, rates of death from pollution, which can be avoided. The rate of death in Europe for pollution annually is 8 million people, and that's something that can be controlled, yet we don't do anything about it. We have deaths for suicide, which we aren't doing anything about. Have deaths for mass murders. So there are many things that are happening where politically, socially, also health-wise, where our reaction as a collective is momentary shock and disbelief, laughing, perhaps instinctual response, and then we all have this survival. We just lost the link for a second, but the connection came back on. Okay, so, and I'm very important to realize that we are in a pattern where we go from an event, a worldwide event that hits us emotionally and collectively. We have a shock, there's a lot of fear, perhaps there's grief or we don't understand it. It touches many of us. Maybe it touches a percentage of directly. It touches another group of us and we recognize the impact. And then we do not process it emotionally. Perhaps we have an instinctual response, but where we go back into the state of denial and we go back into business as usual. Now, where we're at now is with a that hit everyone, psychologically, financially, or physically. And we are being forced to look at ourselves, to look at the emotional processing. So a couple of days ago, Lisa did an amazing job speaking about looking at self and really identifying what's going on in self. Within the self, you're recognizing confusion, frustration, uncertainty, feeling controlled or a lack of control, disempowerment, feeling afraid, feeling ungrounded, feeling disruptive or feeling disrupted, feeling argumentative or feeling inactive or feeling inadequate, shocked, overwhelmed, feeling like dissolving or disappearing. So there are many, many emotions that are floating around. And as Lisa pointed out very astutely, all of these move back into fear and they move back into grief. Now, whether or not we can move into a space where we accept and reflect personally, we feel how these emotions are moving in our body, whether or not we are channeling emotions for ourselves or channeling emotions for the collective, is a very important thing that we need to look at right now. And so your work a couple of days ago was really to focus on this, really to focus on channeling and understanding, accepting, recognizing what are these emotions that are flowing within me right now? What is happening? And can I accept? Now, when we move into those emotions and we accept those emotions for ourselves, of course, we, without judging, deciding. And then we move into a state of processing. Once we've moved into a state of processing, perhaps we can begin to realize if there's some type of instinct response. If there's an instinctual response, perhaps that response is to fight. Perhaps that response is to run away. Maybe the response is to hide. Maybe the instinctual response is to please another person or to obey or to acquiesce. Perhaps the instinctual response, nausea. There are many different instinctual responses. Most of us know the two primary ones of fighting or running away. But as I mentioned, there are many others. And what's important in this context is to notice that within yourself, you may be having these instinctual responses. Now, for today, we're going to focus on 4 days ago, and now what we need to do is to accept unity, because we can do all of the therapy we want. We can use all the self-help books that we want to use. We've had like 2 decades of self-help, you know, phenomenon with the self-help world. You know, we are human beings. We've incarnated into these bodies, and it is not casual that there is more than one of us. So we need community. Yes, we can do a lot of reflection on our own. We can do a lot of our own. But the heal comes community. So through community, looking at the community emotional response, looking at the community instinctual response, and beginning to find and understanding so that we can resolve our conflicts. So what we want to do now is begin to look at and understand our on Facebook, begin to look at and understand colleagues, our families, people in other countries who are not doing a lockdown. People in other countries who are responding to this in different other ways. Before we move into that, I'm just going to give a few more definitions of what I'm seeing in terms of how is this situation creating different mindsets. So we have different mindsets of, let's begin with our medical doctors and scientists. We have groups of medical doctors and scientists who are on the ground, who are struggling and working, deal with the cases that are coming into their hospitals, who have their methods for diagnosing and for dealing with you. We have medical doctors and scientists who are looking at this circumstance and who are looking at the evidence and are saying this action is not correct. It needs to be looked at in a different way, and the science evidence is showing us something differently. We have political groups that are reacting in different governments down in martial law. We have social distancing, but business is normal. We much to information they get are informed. They can make themselves, friends and family who are satisfied with the mainstream media. They are making decisions for their friends and family so that they can do what's best for their friends and family in this situation. So that's just a few of the groups that are happening right now. I can't go through and explain all of them, but I'm sure that as I think about, you can begin to understand that right now what's happening is that we have many people around the world who are trying their hardest to understand what's going on right now with the information we are being given. And they are trying to make the best decisions for themselves. They are trying to make the best decisions for their families. Now, what we can do is we can stay in a space of embitterment. We can stay in a space where we are having our own instinctual responses to how we are reacting to this. Or we can begin to move into a space of community, compassion, and actually recognize, wait a minute, my friends and family, my Facebook friends, my coworkers, these other countries, they are having a response that perhaps I don't agree with it at all. Perhaps in every bone and every fiber in my body, what they are doing doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But what we want to do is actually take a step back and just recognize the emotional charge without judgment, without criticism, recognize the emotional charge where these responses are coming from. Stay away from our own instinctual responses of fight, flight, nausea, hiding, whatever, and instead just move into a space of compassion, understanding, and acceptance, and recognize that everyone is doing the best that they can. They're doing what they can to protect themselves and their families and their communities. So again, what we're trying to do is find community, harmony, um, and unity, healing in that community. Now, I'm just going to give you some some things that have been happening. Just so you know, the other day, a couple of days ago, as you all know, we had some serious technical difficulties with the streaming, and I have to tell you that for me, it was really difficult. I went through a flood of emotions during that time. I was super angry. I was so frustrated. And at the same time, I was really wanting to hold space for everyone and also wanting to connect with everyone while finding a solution. Lisa mentioned a couple of days ago that when this situation struck, we were one of the few retreat companies that were allowed to continue and to hold a retreat. Many people during that time, especially in Bali, lost their jobs. Many hotels shut down. Many companies lost clients. During that time, Lisa and I, we had so many challenges, so many struggles, and so many amazing things happen to us that I can't believe we got through. And we got through amazingly without any arguments, without no one flipped out. I mean, when I look back on it, I can't believe that neither one of us flipped out. But what's amazing, and something that I noticed in the live that I just want to mention, I think it's really important for you all to understand this, is that we held this retreat regardless of what was happening. There was a time before the retreat came when we were asked by friends, and it was suggested to us, you know, there are a lot of things that are falling apart for you guys. You know, it seems like you're constantly like battling to keep things together. And, you know, yes, we were. And the interesting thing was that we were struggling to keep things together, and we managed to. Every challenge that we had, we faced it, we got over it, we went through it. And we told our friends and family, we said, hey, you know, thank you so much for the suggestion, but we've got these women who have asked us to host this retreat for them. We have these women who asked us to help them to get through specific challenges, and we are going through with this despite what's happening in the world. So Lisa and I, we put our heads together. We created a safe and sacred space, connection with social media, and I'm getting locked out again, getting information every morning just so we knew what was going on. But we made sure that we created a space that was sacred, and we created a space that was safe, and we protected every single participant during that retreat, which was an amazing feat for us to do, to create this space while for 7 days everything around us, around Bali, around the world, was shutting down, was reacting in panic, was reacting in shock, was reacting in overwhelm. And we managed to hold this incredible space for transformation to happen for these women who managed to come and stay with us and stick with us through the retreat. So that's a phenomenal thing that happened. And for all of the other people who work in our field, in our industry, and who managed to, during this last week before lockdown in most of the Western world, I just want to say, send out like all my love and all my support, connection, understanding, and compassion to all of you, that you were able to be very courageous and hold these spaces so that during that last window of opportunity, we were able, I can see Lisa tearing up. I'm getting emotional as well. During that last window of opportunity before the window actually closed, and in many countries, we are not allowed to meet and have these social connections in physical proximity to each other. We did something amazing. We were a part of something absolutely incredible. So I want to move forward and really get you to understand again the context. Now, as I mentioned before, that there are many of these different mindsets that are going on around us, where we are at, and this time space. I had this metaphor that came very strong to me, and I know for Lisa, birds are definitely her spirit animal. She's got birds around her all the time, and me as well. Birds teach me a lot of things. I watch birds often, especially fledgling birds. They give me courage and confidence, because I look at them and I'm like, they're little fluffy, and they have these little bitty wings that takes them so long to develop. And then I watch them jump out of, these enormous, like 10-meter, 20-meter trees, or they jump off of these buildings or cliffs. And I'm like, holy shit, if they can do that, then I can have the courage to take steps in my life that scared the crap out of me. So the visualization that I had was, again, of these fledgling birds, and they're flying in the wind. And there's this, actually, if any of you have read, I think it's called Jonathan Livingston. Read that book. That can be one of the tasks that we can stick at the last minute. Jonathan Livingston it's the perfect and appropriate this time. So just think of fledgling birds and how they're getting used to flying. And sometimes the wind currents, they change. Sometimes there's this turbulence. Just imagine, place yourself right now in the body of a bird. You've got these brand new wings and you're flying. And just for a moment, you switch altitude and there's this enormous turbulence. The turbulence begins to stress your wingspan. And you have a choice now of altering your wingspan in a way that you know how, and seeing if that works. Now, the way you might know how is to stretch harder, is to expand wider. And that could be compared with the fight response. And when you do that, perhaps some of the feathers in your wings begin to rip off. And that doesn't work. As you continue to fly, you flap off and you lose control. Another instinctual response, you might ball up, pull your wingspan in to protect yourself. And within doing that, as you tumble as a fledgling bird, you get knocked around by all these currents. So what do? You open the span of your wings again. So again, if you pull your wings in, that could be compared to the hiding response. What we're trying to do is figure out an instinctual response in this situation where we can continue to fly. So that was just another analogy that came to me. And, what I've been doing, as many of you know, I've lived in 6 different countries. When I grew up as a kid, I'm around every 1 or 2 years. So I really don't have this idea of home or this this connection to a single geographical place that for me is home. So I have a background, and I already have a skill set that is within me that tells me I need to figure out how to adapt always in different situations. I need to adapt quickly. And one of the things that was happening to me on Monday, excuse me, was that I needed to adapt very quickly and to find a new network and a new Wi-Fi system so that we could continue this broadcast. And I remember my emotional response. As I told you, I was frustrated, I was angry, I was so upset that my body was trembling. And I knew, okay, I'm having this emotional reaction that I need to process, but I also need to find a solution. I need to adapt quickly. I went driving around Bali. And again, as I was driving around Bali and I was given signs, I was given indications of where I should go. And I drove kilometers. I drove like more than over 100 kilometers 2 days ago. I don't know how many. I drove so far and so much. And there were points where I was seeing the sea, and I could feel my body, not my body, but I could feel my essence, who I was, lifting out of my body as I'm driving on the bike. And I could feel this disconnection, this lack of grounding. And that's one of the things that we have to do right now is we have to come into a space of grounding. When the body, when the spirit body or the mind body, when it lifts up and it runs away or escapes from these emotions, we have to come back into the breath. Use body movement to be in the body. And the way that I could actually feel this, my body helped me to feel this, was the bike itself. I could feel the disconnection from the bike. And it was like there was this this sensation in my body and on the bike that was saying, I can't even feel myself on this bike. I'm too far away. I need to turn around. I need to come back because now I'm not even near the place where I'm meant to be. So to bring this story back and to make a long story short, last night Lisa and I were texting, and I was telling her, you know, I'm in this new place, and and I'm typing it out, and I didn't even realize it until I'd finished typing, and then we started laughing because I'm in a hotel now, and the hotel is behind a shop. The shop is called Toko Harmony, and the hotel is called Abian Harmony. And so I thought, how funny if there couldn't be another sign. Like, you know, it took me I found this hotel 2 days ago, but I still wasn't 100% like, my body was telling me, yes, stay there. But, you know, I couldn't figure out. I'm like, I don't know. And then when I wrote Lisa yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in this place. It's called Harmony. And then it finally hit me. I'm like, I can't believe it. The sign was right there, the Harmony, which is really, it's what, you know, we have begun this live. We began the live 2 days ago with the heart. And as Lisa mentioned, you know, why did we start with the heart this time? And why are we connecting with the heart this time? And, you know, the heart is how we connect with Mother Earth. We connect with the heart of Mother Earth. And these first 2 days, what we're really focusing on is the harmony within ourselves, and the harmony we find in the emotions and the instinctual responses, the harmony we find with community. I'm going to stop just a second just to see if I think Lisa wants to jump in for a moment, and then we'll get back. Yeah. No? So I should keep going. Okay.
I've made myself muted, so I haven't. Yeah. No, you keep going, babe. You're in beautiful flow. You keep going.
Okay. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to set up some house rules. Now, as I gave you the context for where we are, who's around us in our, it's very important that we all understand that this community that we've set up of over 900 people, we have house rules here. This space is a space of healing. This space is a space of connection. This space we want to use to listen to one another, to find compassion, to find understanding, and to heal. We are not looking to discuss the actual specifics and different belief systems that are floating around regarding this circumstance. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a group witnessing right now. We understand that we all come from different countries, we all come from different backgrounds, we all come with different tools in our skill sets to handle what we need to adapt to right now. And I just want to acknowledge that, yes, we do have different groups of people. We do have different mindsets out there that have different labels. Some of these labels are not very positive sounding labels. And I just take this time to witness and acknowledge that there are many different mindsets on how we are dealing with this. And I want to acknowledge that each of these mindsets are actually looking at the situation and trying to understand. First, understand what the heck is going on. Trying to process the fear, the upset, the frustration, the confusion, the uncertainty, the anger, and the feeling of violation and the lack of safety. And recognizing that each mindset is trying to adapt and understand to keep themselves safe and also to keep their families and communities safe. Now, if we can just come together as community, we can actually still heal with all our different varying mindsets. We can come to a space of understanding and we can still process rather than moving into a state of being triggered by each other. We can move into a state of compassion, understanding, and resolve our conflicts. We can move out of a state of being triggered and denying and going back into business as usual, and instead come into a space of witnessing, come into a space of understanding, which means we have to listen. We have to just listen to what other people are saying, regardless of if we agree or not, regardless of if it strikes at the deepest fabric of the bones in our body, the cells within our body, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is just absolutely ridiculous. This doesn't make sense to me. This is threatening to me. But just listen, witness, and recognize that the person in front of you is actually feeling the same thing that you are. They are feeling grief, they are feeling fear, they are feeling uncertainty, disconnection, shock, lack of control, disempowerment, and many different circumstances that are feeding into that, whether it is that they've lost their jobs, whether it is that they have lost their homes, or they're afraid they're going to lose their homes, whether they are unable to fly back and connect with their loved ones, they are in a different country from their loved ones. There are many, many, many different ways that this situation has impacted everyone. Now, I want to move back once again into understanding this is the last section of understanding the context that we're in. And I want to look at the time and the space. And what I want to address and help you all to also see and connect with is that we are also experiencing what I call different holograms. And the holograms that we're experiencing may be holograms of hope or holograms of despair. Now, I also had an experience of a hologram. These holograms are actually moving us through spling. For the retreat, when Lisa and I were going through one of our struggles, I went through an amazing hologram of joy and hope, and my heart just burst open. And I described this situation to Lisa. I described to her and I talked to her about how I felt. I felt this immense joy, and all of a sudden, I was actually able to see Bali um, for the beauty and uh, for the absolute magnificence that she has to share with us. Now, many of you know I've been living in Bali for 7 years. I've been battling with depression for decades. And my last years in Bali, I have been struggling. I've been able to see the beauty of Bali, but I haven't been able to actually connect with it. I haven't been able to open my heart to it, but I can see the mountains along the horizon. I can see the expansive rice fields. I can even write about it, but I hadn't been able to connect with it. And what happened when I was on the bike, Lisa, on the bike, and we were driving through these rice fields? All of a sudden, I passed through this hologram where it was like I was where I was at in the present moment, and the green, the brightness, and the outline of these magnificent, majestic mountains in the horizon, and the clarity in the sky and the sunlight and the waves of grains of rice waving in the wind. It just struck me, and my heart, it just went and it opened. And then what happened was we started passing by all of these. I mean, I've been here 7 years, so most places that we drive by, I know by heart. And we began to drive by these places, and I could see me in all of these different places, in different circumstances, with friends, on my own, and I could see me in these other holograms who, I could see Bali and I knew she was beautiful and enchanting, but my heart was unable to connect with the joy and the love of that. And so what I did just instinctively was I just took the compassion and the joy and the love that I was feeling in that moment, and I sent that feeling towards that hologram. Each one of those holograms of me in the past that was unable to connect, that, for example, I was with a friend who was a tourist here, and he was bounding with this joy and this, this connection and this, this looking at Bali as, oh my gosh, how marvelous, how beautiful. And, look at this restaurant and this waitress, she's so wonderful. And she's at us and she's helping us. And I'm like, yep. And I'm seeing myself in that hologram. And I'm like, wow, what a sourpuss. And so what I did was I just, from my heart, I sent compassion, I sent love to her, and I accepted where she was. I sent compassion and love to her companion, who was accepting of where Maya was at that moment. And so that's a healing process. And what is happening for us? We are going through moments where we are connecting with these different holograms of what has happened with us. Many of us have had what I'll call the dirty relative. The dirty relative is the person in our lives who may have been a friend or a family. It may have been a man or a woman, someone in our life who violated us, who shouldn't have done the things that they did to us physically, sexually, emotionally. You're passing through those holograms right now of healing. I to invite you to, if it is appropriate, to find within yourself, if it is appropriate, the compassion and the understanding to send love to, let's start off with sending love to yourself in that time period. Sending love and compassion to yourself at that moment when you did not have the skill set, when you did not have the tools to deal with a situation when that dirty relative was violating you. And to forgive yourself for not being able to respond in a way that would have protected you and that would have kept you in a mental and emotional and a physical safe space. So let's just begin, if it's appropriate for you to do that now. Now, one of the questions that we have in our workbook, which both Lisa and I want to apologize. We've had so many technical difficulties, and our workbook has also been a technical difficulty with this, and we will clear that up today. In our workbook, we have preliminary questions for the heart knows, and one of those preliminary questions is your heart in a state of crisis, or is your heart in a state of healing? As you answer that question, and as you figure out what's appropriate for you during this live, what it is that is appropriate for you to move into in terms of your acceptance, in terms of what you can send, I want for you to really connect and see what you are needing in that space and what type of community work you are needing in that space for the healing. I'm going to go ahead and begin to wrap this up now because I think I'm pulling Lisa and I'm moving into 54 minutes. Ah! So, let me just make sure. I think I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover with you guys. If there's anything else that you feel that you really want us to cover, we can do our best to get with you on that in our next lives. But what I want to do is I want to hand this over to Lisa. She's going to do an absolutely divine healing to heal within ourselves, to heal within our communities, to heal our hearts with Mother Earth. So I'm just going to close there and give this back to Lisa. And thank you for listening.
Did you want to do a meditation as well, or just go straight into a clearing, healing?
What would you like to do? Let me know.
I think probably a clearing, because
you just started off and then
you spoke for longer than me.
Yeah, for it. Yourself out, sister.
Maybe if you get them into a beautiful meditative state, and then I can just do the clearing. That sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Just quickly.
So I'll just
So Maya, you can do the meditation?
All right, so I'm going to ask. Yeah, I'll start off. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to ask all of you to do is to drop into your bodies with the breath. And I want you to begin to focus on your inhalations and your exhalations. Now, I don't want you to automatically close your eyes, but rather I just want you to focus on the breath and see what happens with your eyes as you focus on the breath. Focus on your inhalations and your exhalations and move into the space of the nose. Move into the space of the nostrils and feel the inhalations brush against your nostrils. Feel the inhalations fill your lungs. Feel the inhalations move in your And now I want you to begin to focus on the exhalations. And once again, as you focus on the exhalations, Be in the space of your tummy and feel into that space of your tummy. And move into the space of your lungs as you exhale. Move into the space of your throat as you exhale. Move into the space of your nostrils, feeling the warm air leave your nostrils as you exhale. And begin to note what your eyes do. Are they becoming soft? Are they wanting to close on their own? Allow them to do what they like. Allow them to sink deeply into the skull and to close. And continue to focus on your breath. Focus deep on the exhalation. Drop into your exhalation and observe as this warm air leaves the body each time you exhale. And I want you now to move down deep into the sacral spine and into your tail. I want you to feel into your sitting bones. And I want you to feel into the sole of your feet. I want you to exhale and imagine threads of light that extend down from the soles of your feet. Threads of light that extend down from the coccyx, from the tailbone, from your sitting bones. I want you to imagine these threads of light extend down. And as they extend down from your body, they begin to weave into each other, forming a beautiful cord. And as they weave into each other, they continue to extend down away from your body, down through the foundation of the building that you're in. They continue to extend down, these threads of light weave easily and gracefully down through the earth and the rock. These thread light extend down and weave easily, gracefully down through the mineral, all the way down, penetrating into Mother Earth's core. And these threads of light that have weaved together from your body, from the soles of your feet, from the coccyx, from the sitting bones, they are now connected into the heart of Mother Earth. The heart of Mother Earth coursing with red hot molten lava. And as you exhale and release any and all cares, all worries, all fear. You exhale anything that is not relevant to you at the present moment. Exhale and release all dis-ease. Exhale and release any and all that is unnecessary and irrelevant. And we allow this red hot molten lava at the heart of Mother Earth to transmute, transform, to alchemize, and to release all irrelevant, unnecessary, not connected to the present moment. We release any and all cares, concerns, worries, fears, dis-ease, and we allow this infinite wisdom and intelligence of Mother Earth to transform, transmute, to alchemize, and release.
Orokoa shiano anata tirakaporo anata. Ia rokoa ia anaiaoa. Ia korokoa matiaoa ia koa. Iaoa ia karaiaoa ia koroko. Kasharika mohana. Iri koro aya koroko mai ana yo aya shruko aya aya yo aya no ana ya kata koroko matasia. Ia rokoa kakia karakahia no amatita torokoasa ishani ukakaka krikata shianata haruka mianata. Ia roka yana shayang no yana no amatan. Go rekia shono. Ia mai katia moroko asashina. Ikatiaha. Oroaya. Ia maya. Ibaroa. Iana Imarua Ia kurukuana tia shiarukumoanata Itatia koa Mashianata Bakuataia Masharuka Ia kaya moanatita. Now I just want you to take 3 real beautiful deep breaths. And when you're exhaling, just exhale however comes through, whether it's internally, whether it's externally, it doesn't matter. So in through the nose and then let go. Like you're pushing it all through to Mother Earth. It's all leaving your body. In through your nose and out. Feel all the density leaving from you. One more time, in through your nose. Allow the light. Beautiful. Okay. So we're going to leave it there. I did have a whole lot of long notes myself. Thank you very much, Maya. That was gorgeous. Really beautifully connected. Let us know if anything as well, if you're watching the replay or if you are doing this online with us now, if anything came through for you, if you felt any sort of lightness, if you felt your chest open, if you just really felt a connection with Mother Earth as Maya was talking, if you felt a connection with yourself through your heart, if you felt I've got goosebumps all over my body. It's yes. Let us know if anything actually channeled through you, if anything came to you, if you had any moments. And feel free to come back to this time whenever you want and do it again. It's 1.03, so well, it'll be about 5 minutes before that. So feel free to come back and actually do this in the next couple of days if you feel there's a bit of heaviness in your heart. So I'm going to post the tasks in the group. Where are they? I'm going to find them first. And like what we're actually going to go through now is it's going to be a lot of deeper stuff on what actually Maya talked about. And it's going to be, you know, I'm going to have to amend it now because she's added that beautiful one more, which is fantastic. But I'm not going to go through it now because everyone's in such a beautiful state. Unless Maya, you think I need to? I think just leave it here. It's juicy. Okay, so she's obviously not hearing me. So what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly run through the tasks. So task one's going to be, because what we spoke about today was really deeper connection to what's happening. And Maya brought up some beautiful, and now not only analogies, but some stories about, you know, like not having any not having any, sorry, I'm in a little bit of a la-la state now, like really reconnecting and really honouring your community and honouring Mother Earth and bringing back more of a connection and the misunderstanding that we've been feeling within ourselves and healing more with the group. And really spoke a little bit about misalignment, you know, within the self and within community and how we need to really go to a place, instead of being a lack of acceptance, to go to a place of acceptance, compassion and understanding of us, other and Mother Earth right now. And community is just so important. I've got a couple of examples that maybe one day I'll share them for that happened to me, but you know, for me it's now about really connecting and asking yourself, you know, why are you feeling what you're feeling? Why are you sensing? You know, where are you in a place of judgment, if in fact you are, and really clearing and reconnecting to yourself and getting rid of the collective heart, really connecting to the collective heart through Mother Earth and getting rid of confusion and disconnection and all that sort of juiciness. And I don't need to go into any of it because, oh my gosh, she just beautiful. So the first task is going to be, what are some heart triggers are you facing in your community right now? Let's bring it to community, because as we said before, community is a place that we can really heal from. What point of views and behaviours are you finding difficult to hold space for and accept? And I know for me, I had lots, especially when my brother's wife ended up in hospital in America. And I just went into a place of real judgment on how things were being handled and, you know, all that sort of thing. So, you know, it's really good to acknowledge that sort of stuff, because then we can go to the healing stage and find that compassion, understanding. Can you acknowledge that these other triggers, point of views, may also actually come from a space of fear and grief and a desire to serve, protect, and make better? And task 2 is focus on the calm, an intentional and harmonious heart. I love that. Focus on a calm, intentional, harmonious heart. Moments of awareness, connection with emotions, connections with others, connecting with Mother Earth. And task 3 is going to be the book. I can't remember the name of it. I did write it down. Jonathan something, but Jonathan Livingston, I think it was. You know, to have a look and read that. And then once again, the last task is always be observant, be curious, with zero criticism and judgment. Now, I'm going to post those all now in the next sort of 10 minutes after I add the other one. And actually, Maya, I could actually heard birds in the background when you were actually doing your meditation, which was really beautiful. All right, guys, so we're gonna leave that there now. We've gone over an hour, but it was just such juicy stuff, and it was, thank you so much for sharing all that beautiful. It was magnificent. I loved it. If you're watching the replay, comment below, or if you're watching this, if you'd like to have any more clarity, or if you'd like any more us to go deeper on anything, you know, we can always weave things into the next few days. Tomorrow, it's the same time we're coming on, and I think it's the body. I can't remember. So we're going into a different space. We're moving away from the heart anyway. So would really love to see some more posts being done. Just share, guys, share, even if it's 1 or 2 lines, what's coming up for you right now. It's really important collectively that we start building this community so that we can all start healing. It's the place of healing through sharing. So sending you all so much love, and we look forward to seeing you again at the same place. We will try to keep it to, I'm going to say 40 minutes now, not 30. We'll try and keep it to 40 minutes. But yeah, thank you so much. We really honour your time, and we honour you being in this space. So big hugs from Maya and I, and sending you all so much love. See ya. I think Maya's slightly, there she is.